Have you ever avoided walking under a ladder? Or maybe you've crossed your fingers for luck. These little superstitions are more common than you think, but have you ever wondered where they came from? Today, we're going to dive into the eerie world of superstitions and uncover their strange and fascinating origins. Get ready for some spooky fun as we explore the mysterious histories behind these quirky beliefs. Welcome to Did You Know? Walking under a ladder, the dangerous ritual. Let's start with the classic, walking under a ladder. You've probably heard people say, "Don't walk under a ladder, it's bad luck." But where did this come from? Well, the roots of this superstition trace back to ancient Egypt. Ladders were considered sacred symbols of the Trinity of life, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. The triangle formed by the ladder against a wall represented this divine trio. To walk through it was to break the sacred bond, inviting misfortune. In medieval times, this superstition evolved. People believed that walking under a ladder could invite the wrath of evil spirits who lurked in the corners of buildings. So, avoiding the ladder became not just a religious or spiritual act, but a way to stay safe from the supernatural. Black cats, from omens to bad luck. Next up, black cats. These mysterious felines are often seen as omens of bad luck, especially if they cross your path. But why? Well, in medieval Europe, black cats were believed to be witches' familiars, magical creatures that could cast spells or bring bad fortune. People thought that if a black cat crossed your path, it was a sign that evil was near, or that you were being cursed. Interestingly, in other cultures, black cats weren't seen as bad luck at all. In ancient Egypt, they were revered and even worshipped as symbols of protection and good fortune. The fear of black cats and their association with bad luck is largely a product of European superstition, which spread through the centuries. Breaking a mirror, 7 years of misfortune. Now, let's talk about broken mirrors, another superstition that sends chills down your spine. The saying goes, breaking a mirror brings 7 years of bad luck. But why 7 years? Well, the ancient Romans believed that mirrors were not just reflective objects, but windows into the soul. Breaking one meant you were damaging your very essence, leading to a period of misfortune until your soul healed. The number 7 has long been associated with luck and cycles of time, from the 7 days of the week to the 7-year life cycle. So, a broken mirror was thought to disrupt the soul's cycle, with 7 years being the time it would take to restore balance. Seems a bit spooky, right? Friday the 13th, the Day of Doom. Let's move on to one of the most well-known superstitions. Friday the 13th. This fear, known as paraskividekatriophobia, has haunted people for centuries. The origins of this superstition are a mix of historical and cultural factors. One theory comes from Christian mythology. The number 13 was considered unlucky because Judas, the betrayer of Jesus, was the 13th person to sit at the Last Supper. And, of course, Jesus was crucified on a Friday. Combine the two, and you get the dreaded Friday the 13th. In Norse mythology, however, the number 13 was also feared because of a story about Loki, the trickster god, who was the 13th guest at a banquet in Valhalla. This led to chaos and misfortune, cementing the number's reputation as a harbinger of doom. Spilling salt, a sign of bad luck or a remedy. Spilling salt is another superstition that's hard to avoid. It's said to bring bad luck, but there's a way to reverse the curse. Throw a pinch of it over your left shoulder. But where did this come from? Ancient Romans believed that salt was sacred because it was used in religious rituals and was thought to have protective powers. Spilling salt was seen as an insult to the gods, and to counteract this, the salt had to be thrown over the left shoulder to ward off evil spirits. Interestingly, salt was also a symbol of wealth and power in many cultures. So, spilling it could be seen as a sign of losing one's fortune or status, adding to the idea of bad luck. Knocking on wood, a tradition for good luck. Have you ever knocked on wood to avoid tempting fate? It's a superstition many people practice without thinking twice. The origins go back to ancient Celtic beliefs. The Celts thought that trees were inhabited by spirits or gods, and knocking on wood would awaken these spirits and call on their protection or favor. In the Christian tradition, it was also linked to the idea of invoking the protection of the Holy Cross. So, knocking on wood was a way to ensure good luck, while knocking on the right tree would protect you from harm. Horseshoes, a lucky charm. Let's talk about horseshoes. Hanging a horseshoe over your door is considered a lucky charm in many cultures, but how did this belief come about? The superstition dates back to the ancient Greeks and Romans, who believed that iron had magical protective qualities. Horseshoes, being made of iron and associated with horses, which were sacred to the gods, were thought to bring good luck and ward off evil spirits. In some traditions, the open end of the horseshoe should face upwards to catch the luck. The evil eye, a curse of envy. One of the oldest superstitions in the world is the belief in the evil eye. The idea is that someone can give you bad luck or cause harm just by looking at you with envy or ill intent. This superstition dates back to ancient Greece, where people believed that envy could literally curse someone with misfortune. To protect themselves, people wore amulets or charms, often in the shape of an eye, to ward off this curse. The evil eye is found in many cultures around the world, from the Mediterranean to the Middle East, where people still use symbols to protect themselves from the gaze of jealousy. Opening an umbrella. Indoors, tempting fate. Have you ever been told not to open an umbrella indoors? It's a superstition that many still follow today. But where did it come from? Some believe that this superstition originated in ancient Egypt, where umbrellas were used to protect royalty from the sun. Opening one indoors was seen as an insult to the gods, who might bring misfortune as a result. Another theory suggests that in the past, the umbrellas were made with stiff, spiky frames that could easily injure someone in a confined space. So, opening an umbrella indoors became a cautionary measure, and over time, it transformed into a superstition about bad luck. Wishing upon a star, a spark of hope. And finally, let's talk about wishing upon a star. Who hasn't made a wish when they've seen a shooting star? But why do we think this will make our dreams come true? This superstition goes back to ancient civilizations. The Greeks, for example, believed that the gods sent shooting stars as a sign that they were listening to our wishes. In medieval Europe, people thought that when a star fell from the sky, it was the soul of a person passing into the afterlife. And making a wish at that moment would ensure that your wish would be heard by the heavens. Whether you believe in the magic of stars or not, the act of making a wish is still a hopeful, comforting ritual for many. So, now you've learned even more about the strange and eerie origins of these superstitions. Are any of them part of your life? Or do you have other superstitions you follow? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for tuning in to Did You Know? Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more strange and fascinating facts. Until next time, stay curious, and maybe just skip walking under that ladder.